They said it was the next NVIDIA, the next great pick-and-shovel play of the AI boom, a hidden gem churning out servers for the world's biggest data centers. Shares of Supermicro Computer weren't just rising, they were exploding. Tenfold gains. CNBC couldn't shut up about it. Reddit called it the new Tesla. Funds were piling in like it was 1999. But behind the hype, something smelled off. Not rotten, just oddly familiar. And if you've ever heard the story of the salad oil scandal, yes, salad oil, you might start to feel a chill run down your spine. Let's rewind. Supermicro, or Supermicro as it's often stylized, was a relatively quiet server hardware company for most of its existence. Founded in 1993 by Charles Liang, it built a reputation for efficient, cost-effective components. Nothing sexy, no Super Bowl ads, just racks and servers. Then came AI. In the blink of an eye, anything remotely touching artificial intelligence became a goldmine. And Supermicro? It wasn't just touching it, it was making the physical servers that trained it. Orders ballooned, lead times stretched. NVIDIA GPUs were slotted into Supermicro machines and shipped out to hyperscalers like candy. The stock went vertical, from under $100 in early 2023 to nearly $200 in early 2024. That's not a rise, it's a rocket. But here's where the red flags start waving. Wall Street loves a good story, especially when it comes with high margins and a clean, growthy narrative. But seasoned investors noticed something strange. Supermicro's meteoric rise wasn't fully matched by its filings. Revenue? Yes, it was rising. But the net income margins, those were suspiciously tidy, suspiciously consistent. And then came the inventory buildup. SMCI started reporting huge jumps in inventory. Not abnormal for a company anticipating strong demand, but the jumps were enormous. Billions in inventory on a balance sheet that hadn't historically held much of anything. And here's the kicker. Some of those parts were NVIDIA GPUs, the same ones in global shortage. Or were they? Enter the ghosts of the 1960s. The salad oil scandal is one of the great financial frauds of American history. Anthony Tino DeAngelis, a Bronx-born hustler, convinced banks, including American Express, that he had millions of gallons of salad oil stored in giant tanks in New Jersey. He used this inventory as collateral to borrow money. Turns out most of the tanks were filled with water. The oil, just a slick layer on top. The rest was empty promises, and Amex nearly collapsed. Now, let's be clear. Supermicro is no DeAngelis. There are no literal tanks of water. But a question started to haunt some analysts. What if the GPUs weren't there? Or not all of them? Or if the orders being filled were actually older backlog recategorized to juice numbers? On conference calls, CEO Charles Liang's answers were enigmatic, confident yet vague. Questions about backlog, margin mix, and revenue recognition were often met with rehearsed optimism, not detailed numbers. And when SMCI announced they'd be building their own factories, massive billion-dollar expansions in Malaysia and Silicon Valley, investors went from curious to concerned. Because who funds billion-dollar facilities off razor-thin server margins? Meanwhile, insiders began to sell. Quietly, nothing illegal, just persistently. By mid-2024, financial bloggers and sleuths began digging deeper. Inventory turnover ratios were inconsistent with reported growth. CapEx was ballooning. And then, the quiet accounting restatement started. Small, technical. But seasoned eyes know what those really are. Trial balloons for bigger corrections. And the biggest question loomed. Could Supermicro's valuation, tens of billions, be resting on illusions? By now, you're probably wondering, was it all fake? No, Supermicro did make servers. It does ship machines to major cloud providers. But the degree, the scale, the margins, the growth, that was in question. And then came the twist, whispers of bundling. Analysts noticed that Supermicro might be engaging in bundled deals, selling low-margin products alongside high-margin items and recognizing revenue up front, perfectly legal, if properly disclosed. But in some cases, those disclosures were either vague or buried in footnotes. The ghost of Tino DeAngelis doesn't appear in a suit anymore. He shows up in cap tables, in vertical stock charts, and in pristine PowerPoint slides. The story of Supermicro isn't over, but the salad oil metaphor? It's already baked into the plot. Because here's the truth. Every era has its scandal, and every bull market needs a villain. In the 60s, it was salad oil. In the 80s, junk bonds. In the 2000s, it was housing. And maybe, just maybe, in the AI boom of the 2020s, it's a server company with too many GPUs, too little transparency, and a valuation floating atop a slick layer of hype. Watch the balance sheet. Watch the insiders. And never, never forget the oil.